We are attending a forum on next generation innovations in housing affordability here at the Urban Institute.
We're excited to hear about all the great innovations that are taking place across the whole country.
And it should be a great program.
We asked our board members, a mix of the housing industry's top leaders and thinkers, to sit down for a few minutes to talk about some of the biggest challenges facing the housing market and how supporting innovation might help address those challenges. Here's some of what they had to say.
In the last 5 years, both the need for innovation and the frequency of innovation have really accelerated. We see a generation that's trying to buy homes that's by far and away the most diverse home buying generation we've ever seen. They are also the poorest home buying generation we've ever seen. You've got a small cluster of very wealthy home buyers and a very large cluster of buyers that don't have the financial resources that previous generations have had. At the same time, we're running into a housing supply shortage and various other problems that are facing the financial industry. So the need for innovation has really accelerated, and in response we're seeing a ton of great innovations across every aspect of housing finance. Some are always going to be slower to adopt, making changes to construction or urban planning. These require moving physical objects over massive physical distances, but we're seeing more and more builders start to test and try out new construction technologies that's making it easier and cheaper to build more housing.
As I think about housing affordability and the enormous pressures that we feel, higher interest rates, rising costs, labor shortages. I mean, it just begs for policy innovations. It begs for building innovations. It's an industry that's ripe for new thinking.
The last 5 years have been such a struggle for many parts of the country. We've really seen housing affordability and the supply constraints spill over from the big expensive places, from New York and Boston and California, over into other kinds of markets. Places like Salt Lake City and Boise and Denver and Nashville are suddenly having to deal with the fact that there are too many people who want to live there and not enough homes, and more people are spending more of their budget on housing. So this is kind of the background for the stress. I will say in the response to that, we've seen a lot of policy innovation, particularly at the local and state level, places questioning things like traditional zoning that makes it hard to build anything but a single-family detached house, playing around with ways to make it easier and faster to build homes, and things like state governments stepping in to identify the need that local governments aren't fitting and trying to come up with clever kinds of financial carrots and sticks to incentivize more development. So all of these are good steps in the right direction. We're still pushing back against a very long tide of costs going up and up.
I think the most important thing that I've seen over the past 5 years is this recognition that innovation in housing affordability is important, that we're not going to make housing more affordable simply by public subsidy or by public action, that it's going to take a combination. We need that public policy change, but we also need innovations in finance, innovations in construction technology, to really move the dial.
I think the answer is we haven't had the change yet. You can see the green shoots of it coming. So a lot of the new, construction techniques could allow you to build more economically. There's been sort of the YIMBY movement, yes, in my backyard, to bring down zoning rules is just beginning to get a little bit of steam. The allowing accessory dwelling units as a matter of right in places like the states of California and Oregon, and cities like Minneapolis, Minnesota, Austin, Texas, have really made a very, very large difference, and will make more as other communities begin to expand their zoning, realizing that, hey, our kids can't afford to live in these areas.
As much as the housing system is in many respects ossified and slow to change, what we're seeing is digitization is seeping into all of the cracks and slowly changing how things are being done. We're seeing the rise of modular housing, which is factory-built housing, but it also relates to how that housing is designed and how we lay out the plans and how we order the parts for it and how it gets to the site. And that digitalization process is leading to greater efficiencies in how housing is built. It's still a small share of the market, but as we prove it, as we demonstrate its cost effectiveness, which will get better over time as we do it more, we're going to see that begin to change how housing is built.
Regulation is key. The National Association of Home Builders did a couple of studies, and they looked at what impacts the cost of housing, and they discovered that state, local, and federal regulation for single-family housing is 25% of the cost of a single-family home. You get into multifamily, they did the study with the National Multi-Housing Council, and they actually discovered that 32% of the cost of multifamily development relates to government regulation. So this is a significant area. You think for a minute, if we could drop that by a third, we could drop housing costs by, 8%, 9%. So this is a significant piece. And if we're ever going to make a difference with respect to housing affordability, regulatory area needs to be a key part of that.
Well, Ivory Innovations for the last 5 years has been shining a light on solutions for housing affordability. There's so many people out there that are identifying the problems and the challenges. There's only a few that are really focused on solutions, but there are a lot of really entrepreneurial companies out there that need to be highlighted, and we're looking for them every day.